So hi guys, welcome back to our video again. So today we're gonna test ride this Triumph Street Triple R. So when we look at the Triumph Street Triple R, it's basically a street fighter. It means it's a sports bike stripped down with fairing. So how can we tell that? Basically, if you look at the signal light, so it's on the side instead of on the top like your regular street bike. Okay, the fuel tank is basically a sports bike fuel tank with the two bolt mounted here. And you can see this arc to allow you to rest your chin while you tuck in. So you can say it's a very stripped down race bike, but converted into street with the riser and the handlebar instead of the clip-on, and also slightly lower down the foot peg for better ergonomics, and of course a bigger seat. It makes the bike more street oriented rather than race, so that's why it's called the Street Triple, not the Daytona. So one thing I find very weird is this foot peg. So I'm not sure whether it is commonly on all race replica bike or the sports bike, but however I noticed that this doesn't have a spring on it, so whenever you accidentally push this back up, it just stay there. So most of the street bike that I have ridden on basically has a spring mechanism that it will just bounce back. This is something that I find it weird, but it's definitely not a deal breaker. It's just the same concept as your real peg, but most of the time you will find this dangling somewhere halfway there. Okay, let's mount onto the bike and see how it feels. So first off, when you mount on the bike, the seat is not too low, not too tall. You can plant your foot with some bend angles, gives you that very planted feel. So even if your feet move up, it's not really very cramped, and the handlebar is not like your sports bike, you really need to go down low, so it's quite comfortable. The speedometer or the instrument is quite tacky, so if you look at it, it has this LED light. Basically is more like a racing use for your rev limiter to indicate when you should change gear. It has also a lap time in it, but most of the time if you're riding on the street you don't really use it. The seating position is just like your regular street bike, so it's quite comfortable. The seat is quite firm and quite big for you to actually move around, and the tank has a very angular knee area, so it allows you to grip the tank. So even if you are a taller rider, there's definitely enough leg room for you. So I'm not very tall, you see there's still some space here. Enough saying, let's go for a test ride. Let's start up this bike. And so when you hop on the Street Triple, you feel that it's very light as compared to the other Class 2 bikes, as the weight is only 189 kilos with everything on. So it's like just like your regular 400cc Super 4 or something like that, but it has almost double the power, about 107, 106 brake horsepower. So it allows you to move it very easily, even in slow speed, especially when you come to a halt, if you want to move your bike with your leg. So there's no stress about it. Because the bike is light, so that's why it's very easy to handle. It's very easy to flick around. Especially for cornering, you can really push this bike down low if you really want to. Throttle response is very responsive. Once you twist, it will go. no matter which gear you're on, even on the 6th gear. The acceleration is good. The power band is very useful. Unlike an inline 4, basically, you don't need to spool the engine to certain RPM range in order to feel the speed or the acceleration. So you will feel the pull anything starting from 2k RPM. So in the inline 4 that I experienced, generally you have to pull the RPM to 5k and up before you can feel the kick coming in. So the street tripper is very addictive in terms of acceleration and giving you the excitement, adrenaline rush. Ouch. Okay, some people might not like it because they find the throttle might be a little bit twitchy, because every little input that you give into the throttle, it gives you instant feedback. So it requires you to have certain level of throttle control in order to smoothen out this ride. The wind protection from this fly screen is not the best, or I would say that there's no protection at all on the fly screen. It's just aesthetic. You still feel a lot of wind blasting onto you. So when you are riding at higher speed, you will feel tired fighting against the resistance. The whole bike feels very light even at slow speed, which is good for slow moving traffic. So you won't feel taxing balancing the bike. The engine brake is quite strong, so once you close the throttle, you can feel the immediate jerk. I guess it's because due to the high compression of the engine design, which is good if you are constantly on higher speed. It helps you to slow down faster. I would say that this street tripper is constantly on sports mode because of the quick throttle response. Very active. It's always ready to zoom off. So I'm not sure whether you can hear it from this microphone. Basically, the street tripper has this very unique sound. Whenever you close the throttle, you can hear that there's some whistling engine noise coming out from this engine. It's very signature to this machine. I'm not sure whether it's the inline 3 design or just the street tripper. This is the first bike that I have experienced this. Monkey. The other beauty is the street tripper. You can ride it really fast. You can also ride it slowly if you need to, after you have sort of like get used to the throttle control. So it's not just like your sports bike that you have to constantly pull it quite hard in order to have a smoother ride. I really like the brakes because they are really nice and they are quite grippy. So the rear brake is quite strong, so when you step on it, it really slows the bike. And the front brake is really grippy and powerful, so generally I never need to squeeze them really hard in order to slow me down or in order to stop. It's just usually 2-finger light touch, maybe a little bit more pressure, you will get to stop. You don't really need to squeeze it with all your strength in order to stop. So I would say that the brake is good enough, powerful enough for this powerful machine. So what I like about this street tripper basically is the lightweightness. The handling is good, it's very obedient. Wherever you point it, open the throttle, it will just go. So it's very easy to control because it's light, powerful, yet stable. That's the good part. And the other one is the acceleration. The power delivery is very sharp, very on point, very instant. So it gives you a lot of fun riding this bike. That's the reason why people call it a hooligan bike, because it's just like a 3-cylinder supermoto. Once you twist the throttle, it will go. It doesn't need a lot of time to hit the power band almost instantly. Basically, you start off at 1.2k RPM. Once you shoot out the 2+, you will feel the kick coming in. So it's almost like instant torque. And only after you owning one, you will understand why all the street triple owners or riders like to ride that fast because the bike is designed this way for you to enjoy it this way. There's no two-way about it, and if you really have the chance to own one, I guess you will do the same. That makes this bike so different. The other advantage of having the power bank come in really quickly is you can generally start your bike at third gear and it doesn't really feel much different. I'm not a guy that constantly look at the gear. I usually count the gear in my head. So at times I might start it at gear 2, gear 3. I also have experience started at gear 5, gear 6. But even if you are at gear 3, let me show you. You see gear 2? It starts perfectly. So not surprising. It has enough power to push you off. The suspension on the Speed Tripper is slightly stiffer. But the good thing is it's adjustable, so you can adjust your front and rear suspension to soften the damping and the compression. So it allows you to have some free play to sort of like customize the right view of the bike, which is a good point. But I guess most of the riders here in Singapore, they don't really know or don't really bother to change the suspension. Even with a fully adjustable, probably they only adjust one and then they just keep adjusting that. By the way, I'm the type of person. Who do you think that the Street Tripper is good for? I would say that if you like a sports bike and you want a more comfortable ride, basically the Street Tripper is the one that's just nice for in between. It's very pleasant to ride. It also has that sportiness in it because of the throttle response. However, based on my understanding, nice U-turn. However, based on my understanding, the Speed Tripper 2013 has actually some revision on the throttle response on the first gear. So the throttle response is not so torquey. More controllable if you like it, so it's no longer that hooligan. However, I would say that why I chosen the 2012 model is because of the under seat exhaust that makes the whole look and feel like the Speed Tripper, the bigger brother. So what are the things that I don't like? First off is the parts, the repair. So if you are going in for major repairs, basically not just the price of the parts are slightly more expensive. In fact, sometimes it's almost double the Japanese bike, but it's the weight. So long weight continental bikes in Asia are usually like this, especially in Singapore per se, I would say. So the weight might be up to 2 times, 3 times or even 4 times longer than your Japanese bike. So that's something that you might need to put into consideration when you own a continental bike. The other thing is the resale value of the Speed Tripper usually is, how I put it, maybe I would say that the market is smaller because people tend not to be very adventurous in Singapore. So they will try to avoid continental bikes if possible because they are worried about the reliability and the servicing costs. So the resale is slightly tougher. Alright guys, that's my personal take on my Speed Tripper 2012. So it's still a pity that I have not tried the full power of the bike. So this is just basically based on using it as a daily rider in Singapore. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you on our next video. Thank you. Bye bye.